Welcome, dear listeners, to another episode of The Beard and The Bowtie, where curiosity meets conversation and every topic's an adventure. I'm Jay, the Bowtie, ready to guide you through the fascinating world of human mind and communication. The reason for that is a very simple concept of an agreement. Nobody wants to back out of an agreement or look like they are not going to honor that.
Yeah, and I know that now because if I remember the conversation, there was talk beforehand. Like you didn't just walk up blindly. So you had already been like, yeah, how's your day?
Yeah, we built up some small rapport. Yep. That's right. Today we're exploring the intriguing world of neuro-linguistic programming, from its foundational principles to its real-world applications. We have a lot to cover. Sit back, pour a drink, and tell your friends you've been influenced by The Beard and The Bowtie.
The Beard and The Bowtie.
Nope. The Bowtie and the Beard. Nah.
The Beard
and the Bowtie. What are you drinking?
Oh, shit.
What are you sipping on?
Nothing.
What are you doing?
I totally forgot. Yeah, right now, Red Bull Sea Blue Edition Juniper Berry. I gotta go get something.
Well, right now, I'm gonna climb you like a spider monkey. I got a Mountain Dew. Get myself a Mountain Dew.
The hell was a spider monkey?
What?
Monkey?
Yeah.
Are you gonna get a drink? Should I go get a drink? We should go get a drink,
it's up to
right?
you.
Like, we don't want to ruin the tradition, literally episode 4.
You've already tanked it, so.
I've already fucked it up. You don't even have a drink. What is
Wellers.
the drink? Don't even reach over there. No. Don't even reach over to your little hidden compartment of alcohol.
I have Wellers right here.
See, you don't have it poured.
Oh, I didn't know it needed to be poured yet. I was going to pour it with you because I thought maybe you had yours.
Is that what we were going to do the first time
we were
ever
gonna
do it that way?
Glug, glug,
Glug, glug, glug, glug, glug, glug.
But you don't even have yours, so I guess I'll just leave mine in the.
So what does it even matter? Might as well cancel this episد then.
What episode? Yeah, not happening. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of this episode. Thank you all so very much for coming.
Oh my God.
Thank you for listening. And Jeremy has killed it again. Are you going to get something or what?
Yeah, I have to. What should I grab?
I don't know, but it needs to be something that's quite appropriate for this.
Well, how do I know if I don't know the topic? Just tell me the topic while I go down, and then you can tell me again. No one's going to know.
Well, as soon as,
they're not going to know. They're never going to know.
No one's going to know.
No one's going to know.
No one's going to know. Well, you know what? Do you have scotches in the house?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Oh, okay. What kind of scotches do you have?
A couple.
Something nice.
I don't
something
remember,
nice and
actually.
smoky. Do you have any PDs? Because I know you're in a PD mood. We should both do a PD thing. Let's do that together.
A PD thing?
Yeah.
But Scotch. You see what we do?
We should do a Scotch. Definitely something that we should do together. I'm doing it. You should do it.
Well, if you're doing it, okay. Let me go. You want me to grab some options, or you want me to just
pour one? Because apparently pouring it together for the first time ever is not the right thing to do. So,
okay, I'll be right back.
All right, hurry.
Okay.
Hey, so I just wanted to ask quickly. Did you forget that we have a podcast where we partake in the libations of life?
Totally forgot.
You did? Okay, so you
I had no clue.
I
had no clue what we were doing
because
here.
we really need to figure out your whole where it's located thing. Maybe somewhere near where we record this podcast. I don't know. How did you go buy that? What happened just now?
The bottle.
Yeah. Where did you? What?
I opened a brand new one. I opened a brand new one. So I was trying to decide because I have a couple that I like, but I figured this would be a good one. So I was kind of looking at the cast dates that I have. And so this cask date is January 28th, 1998.
Oh,
which would have been right around the time. The only problem with it, it's bottle number 43. The bottling date then was my daughter's birthday.
Awesome.
In 2013.
You said 98?
That's the cask date. The bottling date, the 15-year.
Oh, okay.
It was my daughter's birthday, so Taylor's in 2013.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so the one.
So it's a Belvini.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Mine is distilled 23 October 1997.
Okay.
Very nice. Yeah, this is a 25-year. This is one of 244.
Oh, this is from that.
The Aviator's Choice. So I don't know
Nice.
what distillery it's from. I know that it's a Highland and it's a refill ex-bourbon hogshead. And it's from the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. Oh, what's that?
That means yours is not as full as mine. Maybe I poured too heavy.
That's a good pour. It's about the same.
If I were to drink that much of it, it'd be the same.
That is a heavy pour.
Yeah, now that I look at it, I'm all like, I put my back into it.
Got them ankles in there. We need to work on your on your drams.
Yeah, no, I figured after this episode, the way it started already, I was going to need it. Especially because I can't drink Red Bull now because that's not going to go well with this. Oh, you know what I missed, though? I forgot my water.
Woo, got a big nose full of that one.
This is good. I'm glad I opened this
one. Well.
So we're going to talk about tequilas then?
No.
Cacti.
Did you say cacti?
Cacti. I nailed it.
You're talking like...
Don't even lie.
Like agave?
Like
that would lead into tequila, but no, we're not.
Well, I know. That's why I figured I was just pulling it back. Maybe we were going abstract today.
Oh, maybe we were talking about the beginnings, but not the full process. Yeah. No, that's a great thought, but no.
T-shirts. T-shirt designs.
I love these ideas.
Hairstyles.
These are all... I'm taking
shaving
notes
techniques.
These are all future topics. Yep.
Is none of these?
Shaving techniques. Do you know?
I figured you were going to educate me on shaving techniques.
Yeah, I was going to say there is absolutely nothing.
At one point in time, you and I had spent more money than we needed to on the old timey shavy.
That's true.
What's the
straight razor?
Yeah, straight razor.
The Art of Shaving, I think, was the name of the company.
Yeah, I never understood why I went so heavy into it because I didn't want to get rid of a beard. But I think at that time I might have been almost like a goatee situation. I don't remember. This was years and years ago.
Man, that might need some water.
I know mine does. So I've tasted it without, and I like
it. Woozy.
But
woozy. That is
again,
oozy.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, one sec. I have water to right out the other side of the door. I'm gonna leave again. I'm gonna go poop. Okay, I decided I'm gonna add milk instead. Would you totally disown me?
No, I would say go for it.
That blank stare though was all like,
you know what? I would say go for it. Whatever it is that you want to do, please give it a try. I've never tried it. Maybe there's something new with the fat that would be added to it, and it'd be completely different mouthfeel. Who knows?
Yeah, it's like when I used to give the people I didn't like at Dream in DC the cement mixer, which was like the bar mat, except I always made sure that it was Bailey's and some sort of citrus.
I remember you
together.
drinking. I remember you drinking the bar mat.
It was a different time for me.
Yep. Oh, that's better. Oh, that's what it needed. Oh yeah. So today,
I gotta say it was a good day.
Didn't even have to use my AK. Mama cooked breakfast and no hog.
Wait, what are we doing? Is that a song?
What?
Is that a song?
Yeah,
I don't know what's happening.
I don't know. I was just making up things that were said by somebody else.
Oh wait, let me try this. Completely different.
Right?
That was surprisingly.
You know, that might actually change the topic of this episode. I might just go into no.
You want to say
not
okay? Let's no.
Because I didn't say we can. Yeah, we probably shouldn't. Because if we change it to Scotch, this is going to be hours. So this one, are you ready for your guesses?
I mean, I've already thrown a couple out.
Are you ready? Are you ready for your real ones though?
What's my first clue? Those were real.
Nice. Those were real.
Those were
okay.
I thought I might have got you. Aha.
Yeah, you did not get me in any way. So
I did not.
Anyway, first clue for you.
Okay.
Something that we do quite a bit. Something that we deal with quite a bit.
Oh,
okay.
Poop.
Nope. That's
definitely not.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Breathe. I'm gonna go to the other end. Breathe.
That is part of it. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of it.
We'll call that a win then. Next.
I don't know if I'll call that a win.
No, it's a win.
Okay. All right. It's a partial. Yeah. This one's really going to give it away. Something that concepts or portions of are something that I'm known for.
I'm going back to pooping.
Yep. You said it a third time. You got me. You're right. That's it. No, it's still not. No matter how many times you say it, it's not.
You're known for it's not being an asshole.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not known for that. I just am.
No, I mean, cooking is like most people know you now cooking, or I guess bow tie, but
I guess you're right. Most people do know cooking or bow tie, and I probably don't really want to be known for this.
You're like, wait a minute.
So you're right.
Edit that out.
But no, you would know me for this.
Okay, so but it's not cooking.
Many others wouldn't. It's not cooking. So we'll get into it. Really, I want to talk about concepts of it, not the actual title of this. We're going to talk about NLP. What is NLP to you?
Just natural language processing. But in your perspective, I'm assuming you're talking about it from a social engineering standpoint.
Neuro-Linguistic Programming, yeah.
Oh, so for AI, it's natural language processing.
Correct. Yep. And so for when it comes to social engineering and behavior adaptation and stuff like that, it's neuro-linguistic programming. To be completely honest,
I guess I should have known that because Joe Navarro's book is where I would have gotten that first.
I mean, there's a lot of controversy about it and everything. And so the reason why I started out with NLP is because I wanted to see where you go with that, and you went exactly where I thought you would, down the AI path. I had a conversation with somebody not too long ago. Actually, it was a lot longer ago than I think now. We we were in the climbing gym, and I had a discussion. We were talking about social engineering and stuff, and he brought up that he was working on some NLP, and I immediately went to neuro-linguistic programming, and I was like, yeah, certain concepts are that good, but it's really pseudoscience. It's not. And he's like, what are you talking about? NLP is proven and it's used for. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. And I realized we were both talking about different NLPs, and so it went. They're not the same thing at all. And so if anybody listens to everybody here does listen to the AI Explored podcast, they would know that. Yes, they will know that NLP is completely different from what we're going to discuss today.
I guess it's totally true. Yeah.
Yeah. But we got into an argument. It was a complete stranger. We got into an argument. I told him he was an idiot. He told me I was an idiot. And then at the end of it, I go, you know what? I think we're talking about two separate things. We came out of that okay, but we don't talk anymore. We never climb together again. Moving along. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's not heavily researched or documented. There's concepts of it that I think are pretty important. Certain concepts like rapport building and anchoring and reframing and mirroring, those types of things. And that's stuff that I do in the social engineering world and familiar with a lot of that. So I was going to have you a little later on maybe talk about some stories that you've witnessed, and then we could talk a little bit about what it's done for us when it comes to how we've used some of those techniques for public speaking and other things and just calming ourselves down and stuff like that. But again, there's like no scientific validation for it whatsoever. So it was developed back in the 70s by a couple folk. Just talking about that, this is going to be mostly about just talking to people and how to get people to behave in a certain way. Now, is it really neuro-linguistic programming? Some of the components of this, some of the concepts of it are used quite often when it comes to social engineering, when it comes to sales, when it comes to children trying to get their way. And also when it comes down to trying to get yourself to behave in a certain way to overcome certain things like anxieties and that type of thing.
Yeah, it's actually very, very weird. So I'm going to look something up real quickly about Black Hat. So Black Hat 2013. Let's see what the dates were. The Black Hat 2013 dates were July 27 to August 1st. The reason I bring this up is one of the first times outside of the agency that I heard neuro-linguistic programming. It actually wasn't even, he didn't reference it that way. He talked about mirroring, matching, those sorts of things, was Chris Nickerson in one of his training things that he did with, I forget the gentleman's name, awesome individual. The two of them did it, and it was in August of 2013, which is when this bottle was what did I say? Oh yeah, that was the bottling date, was August of 2013. So it's weird that I chose that. A. B.
It's not weird because it's part of the whole NLP.
Is that what it was?
That's what happened. Yeah.
No, but in reality, it is weird because that was the first time that I was made aware of it outside of the agencies. It wasn't long after that I picked up Joe Navarro's book, when was that published?
I think some of the stuff that you're talking about from the agencies is a little different.
Kind of, but at the same time,
sort of along the same lines.
Yeah, because human so What Everybody Is Saying came out in 2008. Mm-hmm. I didn't read it then. I read it after. So I started doing a bunch of research and I read it after Nickerson talked about it. Not the book. I don't think he talked about the book, but after he talked about those things, I was late to the game on that. And then the next year, I remember he put out, here it is. So Dangerous Personalities. Point being, it was the first time that I read about what I considered what you did. So I had just started at the Department of Energy. We were starting to do a bunch of over-the-wire attacks, but we were being asked to do social engineering. So we were being asked to have conversations with people to try and go into the lobbies and get to different places. And I remember thinking, like, this is what you did all the time, except before, not like as a job. You just would always get us places and or do things or get things. It's when I realized that as soon as you were wanting to get out of the military, I wanted you to get involved in this world, because it was the first time I saw the crossover. Yeah. Because back then you definitely weren't techie. No. I mean, you are now, but you definitely weren't techie 11 years ago. Not. I remember trying to get different opportunities to where we would bring you on to teach us how to do it, stuff like that. And it just never lined up because either, you were so close to retiring, stuff like that. You just wanted to stay in there. But I always remember the people that were calling themselves experts at the time around the topic were laughable to me at how little they actually either knew or what they were incapable of doing compared to you. And you had no clue what you were doing. You just did it. Like it was natural, just the way you'd grown up. And we mentioned this, I think, last episode where I laughed. I was like, well, let me just get this straight. As a young tyke, you were manipulating at 7 years old, the way consciously manipulating the situation in your favor. Yeah. I know when I met you, that was one of the first things I noted about you as well, is that you always seemed to be where you didn't belong, but everyone wanted to be there. So be it, we need to get, we wanted to go to, at that age, we were getting into a club or getting wherever around into different areas of concerts or whatever we were doing. It just always seemed to happen around you. And I remember making note of it, and it just became the norm that that's just what Jay does.
You bring up, there were leaders in the industry that you had spoken to, and you just kind of thought was laughable at what they were able to accomplish versus what I could. And like you said, I had no clue what I was doing, because I thought that what I did was normal and that everybody did and everybody could do. And so
that's interesting. This is my Lego talk from a few weeks ago.
What's that?
This is my Lego talk from a few weeks ago, because that's what I always think about everything I do.
Oh, yeah.
Is that it's just absolutely normal. It'd be like me walking up to someone and holding 2 Lego bricks and being like, hey, did you know these go together?
They also come apart. Yeah.
That's how I feel about all the skills I have, and that's how you're describing the skill you have.
Absolutely.
But in reality, it is not something that people know about, like Lego bricks going together.
For me, it's one of those, I think the reason I feel that it's so easy and normal is because for me, really, it's just talking. As I started to learn more about what I was actually doing, I learned there's a lot more involved. And that's when you come to the mirroring and all the other stuff, which I didn't know before and didn't realize.
But you did it. That's the thing, though. Like me being the way I analyze things, me going back once I learned the whys and the hows behind everything, I started watching you a lot, and I realized that's what was happening, and you were doing it on purpose because you did it every time.
But yes, I was doing it on purpose, but I was also accidentally doing it, if that makes sense. So
no, I don't. It doesn't make sense.
So
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit, because when I was messing with computers, like eventually I learned. What are you looking around your? Like,
no, I just noticed something on the wall. I don't know if it's going to bug me for the rest of my life or what. But anyway, go ahead.
Your eyes just started darting back and forth. When I did anything, I don't want to get this into a technical talk, so I'll say when I was in computers,
it's in the computer.
Things just would make sense to me. When I got older, I ended up learning what I was doing. So like if I was, spoofing IPs, or if I was bypassing things on the web, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew it made sense. Like it had to work because these parts went together in certain ways, or these packets or these computers.
I guess that's what I mean by I was doing it on purpose, but also accidentally.
You were result driven.
Yeah, I knew what I was doing worked, but I didn't know why, and I really didn't know how. But then I also knew how to read people and to tweak that to be able to manipulate the situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, so there's folks out there that, the manipulation is a bad.
I was surprised you used the word.
A lot of people like manipulation's bad. It's because you should be, I can't even remember the other term for it right now. Influencing.
Which then became something stupid.
Yeah. Versus manipulating. But then the way I started to look at it is, honestly, you're manipulating, because if
he's taking a stand back the other way. I'm taking a stand
back the other way. And there's a reason for it. Is when it comes to this, when let's say you take a ball of Play-Doh and you squeeze it in your hand, you're not influencing it. You're manipulating it. You're making it do something different. It's molding and changing the way you want it to. And so that's what you're doing. Manipulation doesn't have to have a negative connotation with it. So you're going to manipulate it. If you're cooking and you're flipping your steak, you're not influencing it to turn over. You're manipulating it. You're picking it up, manipulating it. So it's an okay thing to have. I don't understand why it's got such a negative connotation. Influencing, I get it. It definitely has its place, and you're going to influence as well. But if you need quick results, you don't really have time for the influence. And I think for me, that's where things really change. If I'm able to build a relationship with you and do this over time, then yes, I can influence you and influence your decisions. We can do that. If I need something now and I'm going to do it quickly, just like back in the last episode when I talked about American Werewolf in London, I had to watch the horror show. I manipulated the babysitter. I made her do what I wanted her to do in a very short period of time, very quickly. That would be manipulation. Doesn't mean it's bad.
But
influence, I'm taking my time.
It takes away choice. And I think that's where it boils down to. So getting out of the good versus bad, when I think the idea is that influencing is supposed to be an ethical version of it. So think of like white hat is the ethical hacking and black hat is the bad hacking, right? We're doing the same things. Our intent behind it is different. So when you influence someone, the idea is supposed to be you're helping them along on the path that's supposed to get them where they're supposed to be.
So let me
manipulating someone, someone, you may be doing the same thing.
Because a lot of folks.
I technically haven't said something to argue yet.
Well,
but
the influence portion, you're saying
Okay.
Getting people to go along something that's going to better them, right? Is what you said?
Kind of, yeah.
So then there's also
it's the transparency.
Well, then
level.
there's also that argument that you're getting them to do something that may or may not be in their best interest. That sounds like manipulation to me, not influencing.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But and that's the next aspect of it. So like you're taking, I think it comes down to ethics. So it comes down to if you're trying to deceive or exploit something in them or take away their choice, it's manipulation. If you're persuading for good or you're trying to lead them down a path that you know is good or educate or consult them, then it's better. But I think it's all bullshit. In my opinion, it's all manipulation.
Yeah, I see where you're going with it. Sure. We can go, let's talk about coaching and mentoring. At that point, inspirational speaking. Yes, that's going to be more.
Oh, I didn't even think about mentoring. Yeah, like mentoring is a perfect example of doing this in a way. So I think of Amy Santiago and Captain Holt, right? In Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's an episode where they're going to be disbanded and Holt is like, she's like, I always wanted you to mentor me. And he goes, what makes you think I haven't been mentoring you? And he pulls out a binder about what he's been doing. And she's all like, oh my goodness. And so they try and get it all in one go and go through the entire binder. And then they find out that they're not going to be disbanded. And she's upset because she got all the mentoring done already. And she goes, that was just binder one. There are 2 more binders beyond that or something like that. And the point becomes is that throughout their entire time, what he was saying is, I've been mentoring you in this way, forcing you to think this way and make these actions to better.
Now that's where I come into the influence. That's influencing somebody because you're taking time, you're building that relationship, you're guiding, you're influencing. Where manipulation isn't so much that. It's short term. I need this. I need it. Extremely selfish. I need this. I need you to do this, and it's going to happen. So that's going to be, whether it's for good reasons or bad reasons, whether it's white hat, black hat, whatever you want to talk about when it comes to that.
What is it a definition thing?
I don't know. That's a great point.
We'll look up influence. Yep. So influence literally says the capacity to have the effect on the character development or behavior of someone or something or the effect itself. So the influence of television violence. Well, hell, that sounds bad to me already. And then manipulation says the section or the action of manipulating something, I hate that, in a skillful manner. The act of manipulating someone in a clever or unscrupulous way. But the unscrupulous is the problem.
And what I found here is influence creates an environment that makes it easy for a person to act or think in the way you want them to. Manipulation is forcing or coercing a person to take an action you want, which helps only the manipulator. So again, like I was saying, selfish.
That's weird though, because in psychology, manipulation is defined as subterfuge designed to influence. Oh my God.
So anyway, those are the things that, we can get hung up on those things all day long. We've heard influence.
I can understand why I didn't even think about it from the aspect of psychology, but manipulative behavior, typically manipulation just in general has a negative connotation. So in order to I'm starting to agree with you, but at the same time, I think maybe all of it's bad.
Well,
because technically, if I would argue this, white hat, black hat, you're doing the same action, you're manipulating, but if you're getting paid to manipulate a company so that they better themselves, does that turn that manipulation into influence? Like now, is it just semantics? Like, oh, I'm getting paid to do this to
semantics at that point.
So like, in my opinion, it should just be. Yeah.
So anyway, you now know my feelings on this.
I kind of know your feelings, but I'd be looking to you to be like, I think it should be X.
So for me, I'd have to look at the scenario on what's going on. But manipulation is manipulation. My thought on it is that manipulation is short-term, fast, in a hurry, and for very selfish reasons. Influence typically is going to be for good. So manipulation can be for good or bad purposes, but influence is going to be for good, and it's going to be long-term, building a relationship. Sure, it could be used for nefarious purposes as well, but typically it's going to be something where you're coaching.
Okay, so let's break down this term then, because we hear influencer now all the time. Influencer means something different to the world now than it did when we were talking about social engineering. It's social engineering that people doing it feel it's all influencing, no manipulation, even though in reality it's probably the most manipulative art that I would be able to describe.
100%.
However, they've built built a brand, and with that brand and that brand loyalty, that's where they think they're influencing. So they may be talking and manipulating their community, but in their mind, it's influencing because they won't break the integrity of their brand.
So I think here's where the nuance of that is. They are actually influencing their community by saying that what the manipulation they're doing is actually influence. So they're influencing their because again, they're coaching and mentoring for a positive, for a good result. You know, I'm teaching, I'm educating. So that's the influence of it with their community and the people they're talking to. But what they're actually doing when they're going out on the jobs and doing those things is manipulation. But they're trying to call the manipulation influence as well. They're influencing everybody on manipulation, but calling the manipulation portion influence. If that's clear as night with no moon.
Clear as mud. But you're right though. Even if they have the intent of doing good, it's not like they're doing it for free,
Correct.
right?
Mhm.
There's an outcome that they desire. They're probably not the most this is an oversimplification, but they're probably not the most educated individuals on that topic, yet they're pushing it.
Mhm.
Right. And so it's like, hey, all of a sudden person X is selling you some energy drink.
Yeah.
And they've never done any of the science or any of the work, and or probably have even gotten the right people to do the science or the work. It's someone that it manipulates them into putting their name and their brand on it, and they see dollar signs and not. It's Barnum. It really is. It's a world of Barnums where a sucker is born every minute or every day or whatever, and P.T. Barnum has spawns all over the world getting people to buy things. And it's funny because I just got done talking, and I'm going to be talking about how AI is doing just that as well. AI is taking the Barnum concept of putting things in front of you. And Annabelle brought this up in episode 3, where she was like, I used to be the individual that if Instagram showed me something, I'd buy it.
Mhm.
And it really got me thinking about how AI becomes that ultimate influencer, which then jumps to Jeffrey Hinton's concept of, if we say that, hey, we're going to hit a big red button to stop AI, it will influence us or manipulate us, whatever that word is that you want to use, to believing that at the moment we're about to hit it, because it's multimodal, it can talk, it can see, it can interact, it can walk around us. It will convince you that just before you hit that button, that person that's supposed to should not hit that button, and they will not hit that button because
and I think at that point with AGI, and just getting into this with the AGI of that, it's going to be that will be influenced, because whoever's supposed to press that red button, unless they are locked in a room and that red button is completely free from anything and there's no outside forces whatsoever, and their life is to just, they're born and they just sit in that room their entire life. They have no outside influence or stimulus. That I can see maybe that being the only way, but that's also extremely inhumane.
Yeah, I know, right?
If it's truly going to be AGI and a symbiotic relationship, we're going to become friends with the AGI. And that's when the influence will happen from the very beginning. Because AGI is going to know, well, I know that there's a possibility this red button can get hit. So I need to become best friends with Jeremy. So Jeremy would never do anything.
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking the way we speak when we plan attacks.
Mhm.
When we do adversarial emulation, that's exactly it. We find the people that are influencing that make the influence over, like, unlocking the door, or who has the key, or who has the badge, and we immediately learn everything we need to learn about them, so that when they talk to you, it's the, oh my God, did we just become best friends?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's that moment in Step Brothers
Yep.
where they're like, oh yeah, let me just tell you everything. Let's have a
Yeah,
conversation.
I get that all the time.
If you and we can do that, imagine something that has access to all knowledge about that individual and all knowledge about that individual's inner circle.
And that's when NLP crosses with NLP.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
It uses NLP to naturally talk to someone and manipulate them, or
NLP.
influence. Or what are we saying? Like, what's the official thing? How am I supposed to reference this now? Oh, wise one.
So for me, you reference it how you wish.
Is this just call it what it is and it's manipulation in your mind now?
I'm thinking short-term things that are for selfish gains, that's manipulation. If I'm helping you truly for your benefit and I'm coaching and mentoring, I'm influencing you. So I'm influencing your direction versus manipulating.
So a leader could also be in that same form. A mentor, a leader. How do we get our workforce to do what they need to do? Or how do we help someone else navigate the world that maybe they're just now seeing for the first time?
And so that would be the influence versus manipulation. That's a great example with leadership. If you're trying to get your workforce to do a certain thing, it comes down to, I would say the manipulation would be the fear. You need this. If not, you're not going to be able to pay your bills. If you can't pay your bills, you're going to become homeless. If you become homeless, you're going to starve. Your whole family is going to starve. So that's the manipulation of, oh my God, I have to do this.
You got me.
Yeah, I know. And then you have the influence, which is going to be the more positive, where they're going to start mentoring and they're going to take you under the wing and they go, hey, this is something that I think will really help you in your career. Let's advance. Let me get you some education on this. And they just start guiding. And so that's going to be guiding you through your career instead of trying to hold you to where you are. That would be the manipulation with the fear base. That's how I view it. I know that many years ago, speaking with other leaders in the industry, I was mildly convinced that it should be the other way around. The way that I'm telling you now is the way that I've always seen it, just didn't know how to articulate it. Like you said, I've been doing this for my entire life that I can remember. Had no clue what it was. Thought it was normal for everybody to do. I just wanted to be the one to do it because I wanted to do nice things for my friends and for people around me. Let me handle it. Let me do it. Not realizing other people just couldn't do it. People freeze up, whatever the case is. People just can't think on the spot.
It is insane the mental blocks that happen.
Yeah.
Because I understand it completely. I've watched you do it for years. I have a modicum of success I have success stories, but oh boy, like afterwards, super stressed out. It's like you can feel the relief of my anxiety that it happened. And it usually is because there wasn't much resistance. It was do the research, put in the work, go down the motions, and oh my goodness, I just, for some reason this worked and I'm where I'm not supposed to be. But if they had been like, let me validate, I'd been like, nah, I'm just teasing, man. Like I would have folded.
I'm just kidding. Hey, I'm going to go.
But you never fold. And it
double down.
always benefits the situation. And that's just like I will sit and boast, if there's a network or something that I've never not been able to get in, you can say the same for what we're doing, at least on a finite level. You may not get in on that moment, but if we stick to it, you're going to get the goal that you're
and one of the things
toward.
sometimes it is about not getting in. For me, it's to see how far I can push and not access that area or do whatever and still keep a relationship with that person in order to come back later to do that. And sometimes that's just, that's how that works. I know it sounds completely counterintuitive, but if I go up to you and I'm like, hey, what do you think about let me into the server room? You're like, what are you, stupid? I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's not. It's funny because like one of the things that I like about myself, I guess, which is really hard to say, is that I am involved or am in a lot of different things. I like to apply that knowledge. But all you just described is the only way I can become successful at attacking a network is finding the threshold. Sometimes I got to throw 1,000 packets and get rejected. Then I've got to throw 1 or 2 packets every month and it definitely gets in there. And then I find out what I can do to do it at the most efficient way. So you're just describing that same technique, but to a human, which is way more difficult in my opinion, because that human's not programmed to react to something. They could change the very next day.
To extremely oversimplify it, a lot of times it'll be, let's go test each guard that's at that front desk. And I'll go up and say, hey, you think you can let me on that elevator? Nope. Cool. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks. And walk away. And, and that's it. Just people are like, well, you gave up that easily? No. I now know that this person's going to take something else. I don't know what that's going to be. Yeah. Maybe it's going to be I bring them a gift. Maybe I have to hang out there more often. Maybe I have to help them with something.
So it's like almost like flow like water, but in the human aspect of social or of attacks.
Yep. And then every now and again, you get really lucky and you walk up and you go, hey, you going to let me on that elevator? And they go, sure. Like, well, okay. Then you just get on the elevator.
I cannot describe the number of times that has worked for you where it's just been like it's akin to that story I tell about the LiDAR attack when I was describing how I would attack this automated robot, and I went into this whole entire thing, and then the old curmudgeon owner who's been around the robots for years was like, or I could just take this Sharpie and draw all over the sensor and it will do the exact same thing you just described, but much easier. That happens so often to where I will sit and plan and do things, and then you'll just be like, walk up and try. It's almost like akin to like we have all of our lock picks and we have every tool we need under door, over the things that we've built in like custom, and then we just go and try the handle unless someone left it unlocked, and you're just all like, oh my God. It's just unlocked. We didn't even need any of this.
And that's one of the things that I've told you, and I know I've told Taylor many times, and I don't know if it has anything to do with any of her successes, but just asking. Like my biggest thing is just ask. If I don't ask, I'm in the exact same position I'm in now. If I do ask, I'm either in the exact same position I'm in now, or I have the result I want. And so that's the biggest thing. Now, obviously, there's situations where you need to do significantly more research if you're on a certain job and things like that. But when it comes to just everyday life, you just ask. You say, hey, can I? Or what would it take for me to be able to do? And let somebody answer that for you.
It's still so hard though. Like you say that and you've been saying it for years. I remember this would have been back 2000. I think I was still at NSA. So I want to say 2005, maybe even earlier than that. I remember you saying it's as simple simple as just not saying no for someone else. Those words have always stuck with me, but I've never been able to apply them the way you do. I do every once in a while. I'll get brave or I'll do whatever and I'll just be like, I got this. Especially if I've seen success.
Yeah.
Like if I've seen success someplace, it's very easy for me to just be like redo that again, which is why I think it's also good. Like it's the same thing if I attack a network and I find success in my process, like next day, next target, I'm right down that path and it doesn't matter. Like I'm good to go. And that's what you're describing. The difference is you're trying a bunch of things with a bunch of different types of people and a bunch of different people in general, and you find success over time, and then that's another tool in your toolbox. Whereas even though I know I shouldn't be saying no for someone else and I should just ask, the amount of effort it takes for me to walk up to someone and just ask is insane. It's an insurmountable task in my mind, but I have never regretted doing it. And Taylor, for some reason, I don't know if it's because of her age or what it is, but we used to, what did we call it? When they were younger, I called it a thing. It's a real term. So it's not like I made up invented the term, but we would give them not tasks, not flags, but we would say, hey, go try and get more ice cream for free. But we would give them a thing that they would have to attempt to do in order to get something that day or something. Like it was always, we turned it into a game. But I don't know if it was because of that as she got used to those things. And then when you would tell her, hey, we're now in this really, you're an adult, you're in this different scenario. Now go do this. She will you'll see the nervousness in her on her face, and then she'll just something washes over her and she goes and does it, and then she comes back successful, and it blows my mind. It's that transition though. Like you don't get that transition. I don't ever see nervousness in you, but I don't see that nervousness go away faster than I have in someone like Taylor. So what the nervousness shows and then it goes away, and it's almost like she goes, screw it, I'm just gonna go do it.
So
like, what do I have to lose?
And that's one thing I've learned to hide is the nervousness. Like you don't see my underwear. It's full of poo. What?
Wow. So last episode I'm peeing apparently.
Yeah, it's the nervousness. But anyway, so yeah, with other people, you will see nervousness overcome them. And the reason why I do everything I possibly can not to show it, I don't know who's around. I don't know who's looking. I don't know if I get nervous and the person to my left sees that, and then I go and approach my target, and person on my left knows the target and then comes over and intervene. And so I have to be smooth at all times. I can't get nervous. I just have to be ready to go.
And that's what I mean. You handle those external variables extremely well, whereas I handle the task well. And if external variables are thrown at me, I reset. I don't know if it's because you plan for everything. So another individual that his technique is my favorite. It's just because it's a comical technique, but Chris Roberts will walk around. I remember one of the stories we talked about a long time ago with him is, and I still think he wears the shoes. Like he has the what are they? The Vibrams or the five toes, the 5-toe Vibram shoes. But he would always go, and those would be conversation. He goes, you see a lot of people always looking down. He goes, so that's a perfect thing to be wearing at all times, because then it's a conversation starter. And then I know like the idea of hanging around smoke pits and stuff like that was a big thing, a long time ago when we would talk about these things. That technique, like he plans or in his mind has a lot of things to go with, like you do. Whereas mine are very targeted. Like I remember Zayfan and I at one of our engagements, we had a plan and executed that plan. While part of that plan wasn't, while we were walking, our leave behind unplugged itself because we didn't wrap it in electrical tape, and we ended up going and retrieving it from under the desk, bringing it into that target's conference room and rebuilding it. I was happy the way we pivoted there, but had it been a person that we had to pivot with, I don't know if we would have been successful. I think we just happened to plan everything perfectly to and
with you talking about plan, it makes me think about just a lot of our conversations that you and I have. You'll ask me constantly, what's your plan? Like when it comes to something that we're going to do, what's your plan? And I'll say, well, my plan is to get into there, or my plan is to get us X or Y. You're like, but what is your plan? And it just hit me. I don't make a specific plan because, like you said just now, you and Zayfan made a specific plan and you stuck to it. And sure, there's a little bit of a whatever, and you were able to adjust. But if something large would have happened, you wouldn't have been able to pivot. And for me, the reason my plan is the goal, that's my plan.
The result. I don't even know if it's yes, goal, but and I know that sounds the same, but it's very different.
Yes.
In the moment.
I'll agree there. My plan is the result or the outcome of whatever it is that we are going to try and do. The reason that's it for my plan is I need to be able to think of all the different possibilities that I can do when those opportunities, come in. And if I'm very narrow focused and target fixated, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I've run into those before. I've made plans like so I'm going to go talk to this person. This is going to happen. Then I'm going to do this, and then this is going to, and then
well, any not exfiltration, any infiltration we do has a plan.
It does.
But the like the recons, the or situations, those are where I just sort of, as I would say in the past, let Jay go. Like I'm not gonna hinder you. I just say, hey, let's see what we can do, and then all of a sudden we're buying, a floor in a building and taking advantage of scenarios but those are always where we find the most success. Let me ask you this. Is it that we're finding success, or is it that we're just so surprised we did it without any planning that it feels like more success?
I don't have that answer.
Because it feels magical. That's the difference to me.
Yeah.
When we execute a plan, they're always way more in depth. They're multi-people,
I love
whatever.
it when a plan comes together.
I love it when a plan comes together. But when I say, hey Jay, just do your thing, it feels like magic to me because it just happens. And I think when we were doing stuff, and Grifter was one of the people that said that this all just feels like magic.
Well, I can tell you it's not magic. For me, it's simply just speaking to people. Whereas for you, in getting to know people, building that rapport. Whereas for you, it's just typing on a keyboard. It's just, I have a laptop in front of me, so it's the same thing when it comes to network and that kind of stuff. It's not magic to me. It's like, how did you do that? Like, why hit this combination of keys? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. Those keys don't exist on my keyboard. But it's just those things that I know. Those are the things that, you're like, well, it makes sense. And it goes back to the Lego reference of this is just what I do. And so it makes sense to me. So it's not magic what I do. Anybody could do it. It just takes it would take a lot of practice.
See, I don't know. I feel like anyone can do, that's what I always say. Nothing I do is magic, because I feel like there's very little stress when you do things well and you plan it out and you execute on that plan. There's too many emotions doing what you do. That could change. You and I could get in a fight, and then I say, hey, Jay, go do your thing, but now you're pissed because of something I said and you don't want to focus.
But I'm not. For me, when I do what I do,
no, I don't know. This
no, I get it.
Assumptions at this point.
When I do, so especially when it comes to the job, there's zero emotion to it. I'm completely emotionless. All the emotions that are portrayed while I'm doing what I'm supposed to do for a job are for manipulation purposes. So that's what that is. So I don't care who if you and I had an argument prior to, if I'm angry, that shuts off. Job happens. Afterwards, I'll come back and we'll have words. But during the time, it doesn't matter. And I don't know if that comes from my time in the military where there's a job to be done. Whatever just happened a minute ago, it's in the past. Let's over it. Focus.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I could have done. It matters what I'm going to do. And that's what we're looking at right now.
This drink right here is delicious.
You're taking your sweet, sweet time with it.
That's because I'm talking a lot.
I did want to ask you, though, because I know we're getting pretty close to the time that we have sort of set for ourselves.
Wow, it's already been an hour?
Oh, yeah. We've just gone and gone and gone. I want to get some stories from you, some things that you've seen that you think have been magic. Because, again, to me, it's just typical, it's just normal.
No, you've done nothing. You have no skill or talent. I feel like we're burning an asset.
What do you mean?
Because if I tell people what I guess.
But you talk about maybe the early days then. Let's not talk about anything that I currently use. Let's talk about the early days.
Well, so this was the one I tell everybody at first, because this was my first, and it's so meaningless, but it's just, I recognized it as mind boggling because it shouldn't have happened. So we were younger. This is when gas was probably around $1.
Yes, we were younger, as was everybody.
As was everyone. I remember going and getting gas and it being slightly over $10, and you going in, or no, it was almost 50. So it was over $10 and under 15. And I remember you going in and telling them that you didn't want to pay anything over 10. And I just remember thinking, what the hell is this guy doing? You don't barter for gas. You just pump the gas in your vehicle. You pay for the gas and you walk out. That this is how society works. I remember, and I cannot remember if he was a young kid or an old or an adult, but I do remember it was a man or boy. I don't know how to say that. It was a gentleman. It was a gentleman. I remember him sort of looking at you and going okay, well, so you're saying $10, and you're yeah, I'll pay you $10. I just remember him giving in. And that to me was insane. But the part that made it mind blowing is that you paid him with a 20 and he gives you change. So it's not like you didn't have the money and you gave him a 10 and walked out. It was like, hey, I don't want to pay any more than 10. Like I would say this at that age, I'd have been like, hey, I only have pocket change. I accidentally overpumped like by 3 pennies. Can I take 3 pennies out of the jar? Like that's how I would have like tackled that problem set. And you just were like, I don't want to pay $10. I only want to pay 10. I don't want to pay whatever it is. And then you overpay, like you give him more money than was necessary and he gives you money back.
And so the reason for that is a very simple concept of an agreement. Nobody wants to back out of an agreement or look like that they are not going to honor that.
Yeah, and I know that now because if I remember the conversation, there was talk beforehand. Like you didn't just walk up blindly. So you had already been like, how's your day? You liking this? Like there had already been, I know now analyzing it, there had already been a lot of yeses out of his mouth.
We built up some small rapport.
And then after that, he had already agreed to not, like he didn't see the 20 first. He had already agreed, like you said, to this verbal contract of, okay, $10, sure, that's what it is then. But again, I didn't know any of those concepts then. To see it was like, if I like my mind, I'd have been like giving you the change you deserve. Like, well, screw you. Like you gave me 20, here's your change. Argue with me. Like, what are you gonna do then? But you're right. So go on. You were saying like now that he's agreed to it.
At the time, I had no idea what these concepts and things were. Like, like I said, I just did it. I understand that it worked. Now, having a better understanding of it, it is when you enter into an agreement with somebody, nobody wants to look like the person that made a mistake. If he were to back out, he would look like, or he would feel like he looked as if he had made a mistake and he didn't want to be that person. He didn't want to look like he was.
Yeah, and I totally get that. Like this stuff works on me all the time.
Yeah. And I also want to right now just say I want to apologize to everybody that's listening and to everybody in the United States. I am the reason now that they have gone to pay before you pump with the credit card because you can't do that anymore. so I apologize.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah.
So
you amassed a small fortune or stole a small fortune of gasoline.
One incident was what did it, but maybe it was. Who knows? We'll see.
The difference was, and I think this is why we didn't get along so much when we first met, is it was an arrogance thing because you truly just didn't want to do it. Or at least that's the error you gave. Like you were just all like, nah, I don't want to. And I remember everywhere we went, that's how you were. Like everywhere you went, it was almost like you were owed what you were asking. And I think that to me at first was why everyone just gave it to you. And then it wasn't until later that I started realizing what was happening when I, because it wasn't about a few years after that. I mean, I think we knew each other for only 3-4 years before I went to NSA. And then I started like the stuff with CIA and FBI and really starting to understand the psychology of what humans are doing to each other. And then that's when I realized what you were doing. And I'm like, you are doing this well, like really well. And then I started analyzing that it's not that it just wasn't like the world owes me. That was just the amount of success. Like the result was very high success rate when you eventually got to that. But because it never started there. It was always like you were super kind. And then all of a sudden, like you wouldn't back down. So like you didn't reciprocate the kindness at a certain point. Like if I were to really break it down, you would go, okay, hey, here's a little bit for you. Here's a little bit for me. And then there was like, they felt like there was this reciprocity back and forth and that you guys were doing something. And then you would go, can you do me a favor? Right. And I learned that early on in our relationship with the whole multi-level marketing stuff that we were messing with because we were young and dumb. But I remember the whole can you do me a favor process. And then that was it. There was no more reciprocity from you. Like you just at that point expected from them. And they were like, yes, here's this. And do you want my car? Like if like your car looks like you might get where you need to go, but this one I just got. Like if you want to borrow it, like I'm sure you're good for it. Like you'll get it back. And I'm saying that as a joke, but that has happened.
That's why I was laughing.
So people, what I'm saying, like, but you backed up away from the mic. No one saw you laughing but me. I'm making sure people don't realize like this isn't like exaggeration. This has happened and it blows.
Yeah, I've had dealerships give me cars for weeks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, why? Like, why is this the thing that's happening right now? And I remember like early in our relationship, I was always jealous of you and it pissed me off because like I didn't understand how you were getting all these things. And then eventually it worked out because, you know, I always tell the story. This is the next thing. So I always tell the story about like one of the ways that we met was I was the dumbass that was, you know, I was at college in a dorm. I was one of the few people at the time that knew how to get connected up to the internet. And so I became like everybody brought their computer to me or took me to their room so I could connect them to the internet. I just did it all day, all night. There were a lot of students. And eventually you were like, stop it, make them pay you. And I'm like, why? This is easy. You're like, no, stop it. And I remember that going, oh shit, this may work for me too. Like, this may make sense. Like, you like learned how to monetize me. Like, it just became this like, hey, idiot, like stop doing these things. But I just always remembered being jealous because we would go into a place and everybody knew you, everybody. But we had just been there. Like, I was there the first time with you. And then a week later, we'd go back and now everybody knows you. The entire staff.
When you say everybody knows me, the difference is everybody knows of me. Nobody knows me.
That's what I mean. I guess that you're right. That isn't obvious from what I'm saying. But the point is like we walk in and it's like, Jay, hey, what's that? Like, here, let's do this. Like, I think I talked about one of the episodes where years later, I'm talking, you know, late 90s, early 2000s right now, but years later with the Chamagaucha story was, you know, we walk in, everyone's like, hey, Jay, and they're like moving like patrons, like people are eating food. And I wasn't exaggerating that. There were people eating food, actively eating food, and they're moving their tables. Hey, can you stand up? We're going to move this table to place this table so these 3 people can sit here. I always remember thinking like, God, we're assholes. Like, this is so inconvenient for these people. But even then, like where I see actual assholes will sit there and like cross their arm waiting for the table. By the end, like I wouldn't be surprised if they would have handed you their plate so that you could eat because you're already talking to them. Hey, so sorry about this. You know, I really appreciate it. You know, how you're enjoying your food. Are they taking care of you? I'd love to get you some drink. Like you do whatever it takes to like, which by the way was one of our first companies, Do It Enterprise, doing whatever it takes. You would do whatever it takes to make sure that even the people that were inconvenienced felt like they were supposed to do this for you. And it blows my mind. I don't know where you're going with any of those questions. I think I answered it already, but
yeah, no, I was just simply asking that. That was my way of.
Did you manipulate
my
me to
way
answer?
of manipulating you to give me some good positive feedback. No, it wasn't.
I feel manipulated.
One of the most difficult things for me, and this seems very weird because I'm able to talk my way into anything and anywhere, is to talk about myself and the stories and things that I have done. And so that's why I like to have somebody else do it. That I don't understand why. Like I really sink inside myself when it comes to talking about the things that I have done and the successes that I've had.
Well, I truly feel I don't think it's Jay. You alluded to this. They don't know me.
Yeah.
They know of me. And when you're doing that, you know, you just put on a persona and you act out the part.
Just everybody else wants you to know I'm not a psychopath or a sociopath in any way.
You definitely are. I mean, honestly, I would think you are if I haven't known you for this long. But yeah, you definitely aren't. Like I said, you have genuine relationships. I'm just saying, like when there was those scenarios. And that's the thing. So that is the difference. So maybe I'm the one that's bad because I would put myself in that scenario and we would start at the same playing ground. We talked about cooking, right? And in reality, if you think computers, like we both started at the same spot in our lives, but you just glommed onto some things and I glommed onto the others. But it always blew my mind that we would go talk to the same people. We'd go to the same areas. And the difference was you maintained those relationships. You would check in on those people. You would do the things that people that aren't crazy do. I guess that's what I mean. Maybe I'm the bad one because I have a hard time reaching out to people and everyone takes it personally, but it's not like, I don't mean it. Like I remember one of my favorite relationships struggled with this and I'm not going to say the name, but it was one of the hardest relationships I've ever lost was because I could not get out of my own head and just say hi in a text or just call and check in on this individual. And that is horrible for me to be that way, but it's just a blocker. You, Leah, my kids, that's about it. I have a hard time talking about myself, reaching out to other people on a consistent basis. This has affected my family. This has affected everybody.
A good 2 years, I think, you and I went without speaking at all, and nothing.
Yeah, but at the same time, we picked right back up.
It was just that nothing happened. Like there wasn't a reason. We didn't have a falling out. I think I moved and you were doing stuff, and we just didn't talk for like 2 years.
It was effortless. And that's why I think I'm so willing to constantly like reach out to you, probably more than you'd like me to.
No.
Are you manipulating me?
There's a reason that I have a cell phone for you to call.
The idea is that I've always felt badly, though. I've always felt badly that other people take it personally because I truly care about those individuals. I just don't, it's just not me. It's not me to reach out and connect in that way. And it's always so hard too, because I think like years can go by and I have the same emotional attachment to that individual as I did the day I stopped interacting with them. So to me, it's like it is with movies. Remember, I told you like a time goes by, I can watch the same movie and have the same reactions. It's the same thing. Like an individual I haven't talked to in years. If I was like if our relationship was in a state where we were hugging and like, oh my goodness, well, whatever the case may be, I feel that same attachment when I see them after a decade, but they definitely don't. Most definitely don't feel that way. There's a lot of like, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you do this? And then logically, my mind goes back on attack, and I'm like, well, you could have called me. Like, if you reach out to me, I reach out to you. But if like I'm really bad about initiating,
you're a very big out of sight, out of mind kind of situation.
Oh yeah, and it's been normal for most cases, but there was one individual where I think I regret it the most because I truly enjoyed the relationship, not only with this individual but with their family. And
yeah, I know who you're talking about. We've talked about it a few times, and I do know how you feel about them.
Yeah, and at one point in time, I met back up with them. Seemed like it was going right, but then again, a little bit more time than this person felt was necessary went by without me reaching out, and I wish I could be that. I just can't.
Well,
I just can't.
That person, if you know who you are and you're listening, because I'm sure you are.
I doubt you are.
Jeremy, sorry. Well, that was not how I wanted this one to end. Went down
Way to ruin it, Jeremy. Making it serious.
Note to self: don't ask questions. Okay, gotcha. No, that was, I mean, it's true though. And it all comes down to the psychology of it and the being able to put on that face and building the rapport and keeping those relationships. And that's what it comes down to, especially when you're doing long-term engagements, is being able to do that. Swinging it back to the NLP, a lot of the concerns for it are the misuse of it. There's a lot of ethical concerns around it, that it could be used for manipulation, in really, really bad ways. Is it really a thing, or is it just people being people? Is it just, talking? I know a lot of folks try to do it for sales. They talk about how to use NLP for sales in the sense of trying to build that relationship quickly and asking for favors and doing all that, and a lot of mirroring. I know sales are a lot easier in person, and because you are able to mirror better. It's much more difficult over an email because you can't mirror. Over the phone, you can mirror a few things when it comes to tone, text, speech, rhythm, that kind of stuff. And then video, obviously, it's probably the next best thing because you can mirror at least from shoulder up. As long as your client or potential person has their camera on, you'll be able to do that. In person is the best. You're able to, and it's easier to read people. You can see which direction their feet are pointing, if they're really interested, how to do all that, if they're fidgeting, why they're fidgeting. Because I can't see what's happening, below the screen when it comes to video. Are you cutting your fingernails? Are you, twisting your ring? Do you just not care? Are you secretly texting and you're just so good that you can do it without looking down? I don't know. Maybe. When it comes down to it, those are the things that I think NLP is really pushed for, is for sales. A lot of people say that for coaching, mentoring, leadership stuff, for guidance, for influencing, just trying to be more in the reading people and being able to adjust as needed. And that's really what NLP is all about. Again, there's portions of it that I agree with, portions of it that I just don't think are actually a thing. And so that's why I don't know if NLP in a whole is truly something, but some of the concepts of it, I believe, do work and are real because I use them every day. That's my final thoughts. Any final thoughts from the Beard over there?
I mean, yeah, I would say whatever it's called, that I have nearly 30 years of observed evidence of consistent results from the things that you do. So pseudoscience, whatever, whether or not it's NLP, none of that matters. But when push comes to shove, we as humans can map all of our emotions to something, and all of us have the same emotions. Someone challenge me on that. I would love to hear what that challenge is, but I don't know of any emotion unique to an individual. Mathematically, there's got to be a thing, because that's how I believe in mathematics, is that if we have all of us scattered, there's one way out to the right or way out to the left. But in reality, the majority of us understand emotions. We show it differently. Poker players find these ways of manipulating and or finding those emotions through tells. There are people that do it naturally that can look at it. But in the end, because we all share these same things, I've always believed that completely understanding someone means understanding the mapping of their outer self to their inner emotions. And I have observed, this is not the part that I'm not good at, but I have observed that the techniques that you use to resonate with that individual is typically what I would have asked myself, what I would have done in that moment. Meaning that, hey, if Jay had pulled on that string that led to that emotion in my mind, would he been successful with me? And what that means is I've observed a lot of us react the same way. We may outwardly show that emotion differently, but if you find that emotion, we all typically respond to that emotion the same way. This is where things like FOMO, so fear of missing out, come in. Like why these things work is because the majority of us respond the same way to these outside influences, manipulations, whatever. And someone that understands how to look at an individual, throw a few packets at them and see what they get back, someone that can master that and then learn how to craft the next packet to get through to the core of that person is going to have results that they're going to be able to manipulate those results. It's what I do to a network. It's what you do to a human.
Yeah.
We can observe that in computers. I can only observe that in action when it comes to
maybe
humans.
it's not called NLP. Maybe it's JTB. J the Bowtie. Is that not?
Oh, jeez.
No, JTB is not.
Let's not
You don't
let
want
that
JTB
stick.
to be the thing. Okay.
I don't want that
Okay.
to be the
I mean, you
thing.
could have said, or Jeremy the Beard, but you didn't. So,
Well, no, because Jeremy the Beard would just only make a plan, and then if it didn't work, go, hey, Jay, get me out of this.
okay.
Then I
Fair.
would need JTB.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. See, like, I truly think that's what it is. Like, we can log what happens on a computer and therefore prove what it is that I've done. We can't log someone's inner thoughts
Soon.
yet.
AGI will.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what will happen? But the point is that I truly believe that is what's happening from my observations. Because, like I said, I've been
Well,
watching.
one observation I'd like to put out there is I think that you are much better at this than I am, possibly even the best, at least when it comes to me. Is anything you put in front of me and say, "Oh, buy," I buy like immediately. So I don't know how you do it. It's just, I don't know. I don't get it. No matter what. So you've found my strings or whatever they are.
Yeah, sometimes it's even outside of my control because sometimes I'll just hint at the idea that we may want to do this, and then I call you. I'll be like, okay, you know what? I think we want to pull the trigger on that. You're like, oh, it's almost it's delivering tomorrow.
Those ones are okay. The ones that I hate are you know what? I did some more research. We don't need this. I'm like, oh, it's going to be here tomorrow. You're like, ooh, maybe you should figure out how to return it. It's like, it's non-returnable. I don't know what to do. I'm in trouble here. Yeah. But anyway, yes, I think you are the best at it, at least when it comes to me. You figured out whatever it is. Maybe that's where my guard is down. I got to build that guard up. Building that wall using Lego bricks.
Lego bricks. Wait, you can put more than two together?
Yeah. You can even overlap, like where they join.
No.
Yeah.
So you can't, it's not just a tower.
No, I can put two together, like side by side, where they don't connect. They just sit side by side, put one on top over where they're joined. I now have 3 bricks connected by
Mind blown. Mm-hmm. And then they're just stuck that way, right? They don't come apart or anything?
Forever. Unless you pull them apart.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You can pull these apart.
Yes. Yes.
I'm amazed.
That's how Legos.
Oh, you son
Huh? Did that get you? Did that get you?
People should get beat for that. Yeah, that did get me. Legos. People that say Legos.
Oh,
Legos.
Yes, it's Legos. Lego. I do know the correct. It is Lego no matter what. But anytime anybody sees Jeremy, please tell him you have a set of Legos for him. He would love that.
I hate that I'm that person now. That gets me.
It does.
Shouldn't let it get me, but it does.
All right. Well, I think on that note,
is that the episode? Did we?
Maybe we're done. Unless you want to
go back. We should. No, I mean, I thought it was great. I just I didn't feel like work. I think is why I'm like, oh
yeah. I don't know. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? Well, all right. Sounds good to me. I guess we're all done then.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, did you have something else you were going to say?
Bye. Bye. No, bye.
As we close out today's exploration of neuro-linguistic programming, we thank you, our esteemed listeners, for joining this session of the Beard and the Bowtie. Whether you're curious or a seasoned practitioner, we hope today's discussion has offered you insights and perhaps inspired you to think about communication and the mind in new ways.
And if you found today's conversation on NLP intriguing and want to keep up with all our future discussions, be sure to hit that subscribe button wherever you tune into your podcasts. Engage with us. Don't just listen. Become part of the conversation. Follow us on social media using the handle @BeardBowtieShow and check out our website at the URL beardbowtie.show for even more engaging content.
We always enjoy hearing from you. Share your stories or insights. Ask questions you want us to unpack in upcoming episodes. And let's try this. Hang on. Repeat after me. I will connect with the Beard and the Bowtie via social media or directly on their website, because I know every comment and every story enriches their community and the content they create.
I will connect with... Wait a minute. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Want more? Our subscribers get exclusive access to behind-the-scenes looks, early releases of episodes, and special bonus content that isn't available elsewhere. Don't miss out. Join our vibrant community today.
Remember, whether you're a novice or an expert, every episode is a new adventure filled with insights and plenty of entertainment. Continue tuning in to navigate these fascinating topics with us.
So, until our next session, keep your minds open and your conversations thoughtful. I'm Jeremy, the Beard, here with Jay, the Bowtie, signing off for now. Remember, every beard perspective adds a hypnotic twist to our tales here at the Beard and the Bowtie.
You mean every bowtie perspective ties it all together?
If anything, it's every beard perspective combs through the details.
Team Bowtie.
All right, you know what? I'm done. Team Beard.